Today, we are discussing the life of an abused child and creating awareness so that people will understand that it is very important for people to speak up on issues concerning child abuse. Discussing child abuse is a serious matter and it's important to approach it with sensitivity. And we are going to touch certain areas which include the meaning of child abuse, symptoms, remedies, and we are going to emphasize the importance of raising awareness to child protection and then discuss finally the prevalence of child abuse globally. My name is Dr. IGWEIKE Raphael Otum. Now we are to discuss the meaning of child abuse, the types of child abuse, definition of the different types of child abuse, their examples, and the impact of that very kind of abuse on the life of that child, and even to some extent on the life of the community at large. Then the other aspects of child abuse that I wanted to touch, we can leave them later after we come back from the break of while taking your course and the comments and your life experiences and so on and so forth. Now, child abuse refers to any act or failure to act that results in harm. That is, child abuse refers to any act or failure to take an action, and as a result of your failure and also your action has caused potential harm or the threat of harm to a child. Let me come back again. Child abuse refers to any act or failure to act that results in harm, potential harm, or the threat of harm to a child. It can occur in various forms, affecting a child's physical, emotional, or psychological well-being. Child abuse is a serious violation of a child's rights and can have long-lasting consequences on their development. This very issue is something that we don't need to keep silence about. Let me now make you to understand that we have records of child abuse cases on a daily basis according to World Health Organization. And in fact, the record dropped recently, and at times it will increase. Sometimes it drops, sometimes it increases. But before we go into statistics, let's discuss on the types of child abuse, as you rightly said. There are different types of child abuse, but we are going to touch the four major types of child abuse, which is common on earth, which is common in human existence. Number one of them is physical abuse. Physical abuse involves the intentional use of force, causing injury or bodily harm to a child. What are the examples of physical abuse on a child? Such examples include hitting, when you hit the child in the wrong way, not that you are trying to discipline the child, but you consistent hitting, slapping, shaking, burning, or any form of physical aggression against the welfare and the well-being of a child is what we mean by physical abuse. Then the impact physical abuse can create on a child is that physical abuse can lead to immediate injuries and long-term physical and emotional consequences. That is on physical abuse. Another type of child abuse include emotional abuse. Emotional abuse involves behaviors that harm a child's self-worth or emotional well-being. Don't forget that when we say child abuse, it does not necessarily mean an adult abusing a younger person. A child can equally abuse a fellow child. Do you understand me? Good. A child can equally abuse a fellow child. Now, examples of emotional child abuse include constant criticism, humiliation, rejection, or isolation in different forms. When you isolate a child from mixing up with other children, you isolate them from getting to their relatives. Perhaps, let me use an example. And a father who is abusing his daughter sexually always prevents that daughter from meeting his relatives or her mother's relatives, so that in one way or the other, the child will not speak up and get rescued. and he himself will not be arrested for interrogation, perhaps at the end of the day being jailed. So isolation is equally another example of child abuse. I said something like humiliation. Many people know how to humiliate children. They humiliate children to the point that that child will begin to shed tears. That is part of child abuse. Now, what is the impact emotional abuse can have on a child? Emotional abuse can result in severe emotional and psychological distress, affecting a child's mental health and the ability to form healthy relationships. When you abuse a child emotionally, that's when you come up, you see many broken homes. You see some people, they don't know how to handle a relationship, they don't know how to handle a fellow female, a fellow, maybe if they are women, if it's a female child, that female child will not know how to go into relationship or handle issues affecting a fellow girl or a fellow woman. And also the same person or somebody like that may not be able to handle a marital relationship due to that person has already been emotionally abused at home. Then the impact is so terrible. I said earlier that emotional abuse can result in severe emotional and psychological distress, affecting child's mental health and ability to form healthy relationship. Well, I just only talk about relationship. Now, when we talk about mental health of a child, some children, that's when you see some children, when they see adults smoking, their emotion have been damaged right from home. You see them picking the pieces of cigarettes and trying the same thing outside. Some do it while inside the house. That is where you see most adults, most young people who become chain smoker onto adulthood. Let's not dwell long on that. Let's discuss another type of abuse. This one is the number 3, which is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse involves any sexual activity with a child using force, coercion, or taking advantage of a child's inability to give consent before having sex or sexual related activity with that same child. Examples of sexual abuse as part of child abuse or as a type of child abuse: sexual assault, molestation, exploitation, or exposure to inappropriate sexual content. When you expose a child to some adult content, you are not doing that child any good. There are some people, when they on movie, even local movie, you discover that people are having sex, almost open sex in that movie, and your children are there watching. You are not doing them good. What you are exposing them is sexual harassment. You are harassing them sexually without your knowledge, or with your knowledge, you may know, or you just want to abuse them. You are harassing them sexually. Then when you talk of sexual abuse is something that has graduated from sexual assault. When you assault a child, that one can be once or twice. Once it crosses the second time, when it gets to the third time, we term it abuse. When you harass a child once, you call it sexual harassment. When it goes to the second time and onto the third time, it becomes an abuse. That is, sexual abuse is the reoccurrence of sexual assault. Do you understand that? Yeah, molestation, exploitation, or exposure to inappropriate sexual content. These are some of the examples of sexual abuse. Let's talk about the impact sexual abuse can have on a child. Sexual abuse can cause severe trauma, leading to emotional, behavioral, and physical problems that persist into adulthood. When you see some adults behaving so naive when it comes to sexual relationship, don't blame most of them. Most of them have been assaulted. According to some statistics that we gathered some time ago, we were meant to understand that 3 out of 5 women, 2 of them have been abused from childhood, while 1 out of the 3 have been abused as a teenager or a young adult. That is from 18 to 22 or 23. That is the highest time women are being abused sexually, and most of them are caused by personal exposure to such abuse. Where they go, how they behave, how they dress. These are the things that contribute to their assault and abuse. Then another impact that sexual abuse can have in the life of a child is that it leads to emotional and behavioral problems. The way the child will be behaving at times, you'll be wondering, was this child trained or not? And some children has grown to the point that when they see adults, the way they look at the adults, especially some female children, the way they look at that adult, you also be wondering if you are safe. And let's leave that and discuss another type of child abuse, the one we call neglect or neglectful abuse. Either you call it neglect or you call it neglectful abuse. Neglect refers to the failure to provide for a child's basic needs, such as food, shelter, clothing, medical care, or supervision, to the extent that it harms the child's health and development. Let me come again. Neglectful abuse refers to the failure of an adult or a guardian or a parent to provide for a child's basic needs, such as food, shelter, clothing, medical care, or supervision, to the extent that it harms the child's health or development, either present or future development. That is what we call neglect or neglectful abuse. Examples of neglectful abuse include leaving a child unsupervised for extended periods. You do not supervise the child's way of life. You only give the child, perhaps you give the child food, you provide clothing for the child, provide shelter for the child or the children, you go your way. You don't care about what they watch online. You don't care about what they watch on television. You don't care about what they do at home. You might have lived them with one nanny or one houseboy. You don't care about what happens to them. Yours is just to provide food for them, provide money for them, or you send them to boarding school. You don't even know, you do not give them basic training from home, and you send them away to boarding school. That is when they finish the remaining corrupt lifestyle. So, leaving a child unsupervised for extended periods is nothing but neglect or neglectful act. Failure to provide adequate nutrition or denying medical care, all these are part of neglectful abuse. When you do all this, you have abused that child. Then the impact of this neglectful abuse on the child. Neglect can result in developmental delays, malnutrition, physical injuries, and long-term emotional and psychological issues. In conclusion to this, understanding the different types of child abuse is crucial for recognizing and preventing harm. When you understand the different types of child abuse as an adult, you'll be able to point out when a child is under abuse. You begin to understand the symptoms of a child that is under abuse. You begin to know that this child, as this type of symptom is a sign that this child is under abuse. Let's say the issue of neglect. When you see the child looking lean, looking so lean, at times you see child will become good, at times child will look so lean. You should know that that child is suffering from what we call neglectful abuse. Either the child is not well fed or the child is lacking medical support. You may see a child that is always fond of dressing anyhow. Maybe a female child who has rapid growth, or the form of exposing her physical structures, structures, different parts of her body, behaving anyhow, or hugging men anyhow, or young boys anyhow. You know that that child has already been abused from home. Either the parents did what we call neglectful abuse, or they just abuse her directly by allowing her to be exposed to inappropriate sexual content without control. So they are the things that contribute to child abuse. So it is very crucial to understand these types of child abuse. Very, very crucial. And in order for us to know how we can prevent them, it's essential to raise awareness. When you know those things, it is another thing to raise awareness. Although in this very dispensation, that is in this very modern world, many people will say that if you raise awareness on the abusive nature of another person's child, they might even sue you to court, might even arrest you, might even go into fights with you. That what's your business? Are you the father? Are you the mother? Why can't you go and mind your own business? That is another challenge we have when it comes to child abuse, especially here in Africa. Not only in Africa, in different parts of the world. That is what is happening currently. So many people find it difficult to create awareness. Nevertheless, there is another way to do it. Through government agency, you can help the life of that child. You can just report privately and tell them to discuss the matter without involving you. The right governmental agency, Lagos State has enough that will take care of that. Even federal government has and take care of that. Just make inquiry. Just call. Make a call. People will guide you and direct you on how to help that very little child who did not know what he or she is doing. So as I said, it's essential to raise awareness and promote reporting. Reporting has made the statistics of child abuse or the number of children who are suffering from abuse, different types of abuses, to drop, according to World Health Organization. Reporting is not constant, and reporting always drops. And work collectively to create environments that protect children. We all need to work collectively so that we can create environments that protect children from abuse and support those who have experienced such abuse. There are many children who are suffering from child abuse. They don't know where to run to, how to support them. If you know such children, you can create awareness. You can call in different radio stations, can reach out to television stations. They will guide you. You can go to police station and make inquiry. Especially you can meet female police people. They know how to handle that very case very well. They are good at handling such cases. Especially when the child is a minor. They are very good. Nigerian female police, they are very good at that. They will take care of that. They will direct you to the right place to go and get the problem sorted out. Then you help to save a soul. If you support a child today, that child might grow up to support hundreds of children. I believe with this little points, we can now ask our questions and other things that we need to know about child abuse. Thank you. I remain Dr. IGWEIKE Raphael Otum. See you next time.